Today we're making easy make-ahead crescent rolls. These crescent rolls can be made in advance, and I'm going to show you today how to make the dough and freeze it for future use. And I'm also going to show you how to make a crescent sheet that you can place in the refrigerator for up to 2 days. You can make this dough in advance, shape your crescent rolls, lay them out on a baking sheet, cover them so that they're airtight, place your baking sheet in the freezer overnight, and the next day, remove the frozen rolls and place them into a freezer bag, and you can store them in the freezer for up to 2 months. When you're ready to bake these, you can remove them from the freezer and let them sit at room temperature until they're doubled in size and bake them just like we're gonna make them today. So let's get started with these easy make-ahead crescent rolls. To make our dough, we start out with 1 tablespoon of instant dry yeast or active dry yeast, along with 1 teaspoon of sugar. And we're going to dissolve this with 1/2 cup of warm water, and that needs to be between 110 and 115 degrees. Now we're adding 1/2 cup of warm milk, which is also between 110 and 115 degrees. This was actually cold milk I brought out of the refrigerator, and I microwaved it for about 15 seconds, and it got to 110 degrees. And we're adding 1/2 cup of butter. I did microwave this to melt it, but it has since cooled, so you don't want that hot either. And we're adding 3/4 of a teaspoon of table salt, 1 slightly beaten egg, and 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Now we've given that a good mix, we're going to add half of our flour. We're using 4 cups of all-purpose flour in total, but we are going to add half of that. We do have to be exact in our total of 4 cups, but when we add half of it, we don't have to be exactly on 2 cups. Get all that flour in there. And now we beat this until it's very smooth. I'm going to beat this the old-fashioned way. You can use a hand mixer or stand mixer. I just don't like washing all those implements. So I beat this by hand with about 50 strokes, and that's smooth enough. Now I'm stirring in most of the rest of our flour. It's very humid in my house right now, so I'm guessing we're going to end up using the full 4 cups of flour. This is about the last cup of the 4. Stir until a smooth dough forms. If you are forming this dough in your stand mixer, you'll know when the dough is ready because all the flour will come off the side of the bowl. I think that's good. Now I just go ahead and fold this over and push on it a little bit with my knuckles, sort of kneading it while it's still in the bowl. A beautiful dough ball. And I'm just going to start kneading this by hand. With any of the bread recipes I post, you can use a stand mixer to mix as well as knead. This is a delightful dough to work with. And there's enough butter in here that I didn't even add any flour to the surface to knead this. Now that's a beautiful dough ball. I mean, just beautiful. It's got a little springiness to it. Put about a teaspoon of oil in this bowl. Let's place our dough in here, twirl it around, and flip it over, and get it completely covered in oil. Now we're going to cover this and let it rise for 1 hour until doubled in size. Now my house is a little cool right now, so this took closer to 1.5 hours for my dough to double. We're going to gently deflate this. I love working with this dough. It's so easy. Now we're going to divide this in half. Place one of these aside and pat this with just a little bit of flour. Let's roll this to a 12-inch or 30-centimeter circle. Cut this in half. Cut it in half again. Take a pizza wheel and cut each of these quarters into 3. Take the wide end and roll these. And if you want to freeze these, place these on a parchment-lined baking sheet, cover them with cling wrap, stick them in the freezer overnight, and the next day, remove the frozen rolls and put into a Ziploc bag. When you're ready to use them, bring them out to room temperature, let them rise until they're puffy and doubled in size. Place it with that point side down on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Go ahead and kind of turn them. Just gently turn that dough and make your crescent. We're gonna let these sit about a half an hour until they're doubled in size. Our crescent rolls are nice and puffy after about a half an hour. They've doubled in size. These are going into a 350-degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes or until golden brown. These have turned nice and golden brown. Because I had 2 pans side by side on the same rack, I opened the door very quickly and swapped them. So I swapped them so that the ones that were on the outside edge would be in the center and vice versa, so they would more evenly cook. These are so easy to make. Roll this dough to about 10 wide and 17 long. Take a piece of cling wrap or about a half a teaspoon of oil on there. Brush it on, or you can brush some butter on. And transfer this to your piece of cling wrap. Put a little more oil on the dough itself. If you have some melted butter, that's great. A very light coating, maybe a half a teaspoon of oil. Just start with the short end and roll that. And that cling wrap will keep the dough from sticking to itself. You want to seal those ends well. You might want to double wrap it and then place it into a storage bag. And this can be stored in the refrigerator for a couple of days before you're ready to use it. And I'm going to show you how to make my pumpkin pecan braid bread using this crescent dough in a future video.